Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Stats No Res podcast, the premier Dominions 5 multiplayer podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Articulatimus, aka Charlie, and with me, as always, is HP Munchcraft, Sauron, Ravsier, and Darkwolf. How you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Doing pretty good. A little tired.
I'm also doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm also a little tired.
That works. Me too. Before we get into today's episode, which is a continuation of talking about generic summons where we left off at, I think we just finished up Conjuration 5 generic summons, so we'll be doing the rest. Just want to see how you guys been doing throughout the week.
So I've been doing pretty good. My dad just came up to visit, and we went and saw. We went and saw Star Wars: A New Hope, but the apparently like the Dayton Orchestra was accompanying, providing the musical accompaniment instead of the like regular soundtrack. So that was fun and interesting.
Oh, that sounds like a whole event.
Yeah,
That
it
sounds like
That sounds awesome.
yeah. So that was.
It was outdoors, or
What? No, it was in a performing arts center.
okay, very cool.
Well, Rob, how was your week?
That was pretty good. I went down and visited my brother. We went hiking. That was fun. I'm starting a new job tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Congratulations,
luck.
that's awesome.
What about you,
Darkwolf?
Darkwolf?
I'm in the UK. It's 3:55 a.m. I woke up like 50 minutes ago, and yeah, I go here for school. So now I'm on this weird schedule, which means I have to wake up at terrible times to join this.
No,
Yeah,
we didn't make you wake up. You decided.
Yeah, exactly.
All
I
right.
don't know what you're talking. It was peer pressure.
Okay.
Fair enough. As for myself, had a pretty good week. Hit a major milestone in a different game, which is League of Legends. I hit Diamond for the first time. That was a 3-year long journey going from Platinum to Diamond. So it's probably the most significant gaming achievement I've ever accomplished. So really happy
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, congrats.
Congratulations, but let me be honest. I think your Stone Soup records are more significant.
You know, you would think so, but I don't know. I feel like League of Legends as a like competitive outlet, it's actually a lot harder to get good at it because you don't do it in a vacuum. Like it's not a single player game, so
Yeah, you're always having to compete against.
you're always
someone
having to
else who's-
learn and adjust the meta and stuff like that.
Right.
And there is some of that in Stone Soup, but in Stone Soup, I would consider myself a very intermediate player. I obviously have wins in tournaments and stuff like that, but it doesn't come close to what some of the highest level players do. All right, well, what about you, Soran? How was your week?
My week's been all right. I scrubbed out of a game because I couldn't commit to it, but I tried my best with what time I put into it. And otherwise, I've just been helping out mentees, helping people expand and whatnot.
Trying to get into the top 10 mentors of the year.
Hell yeah. He is in the top
That's
10
not-
mentors of the year. It's
Yeah,
not
I was
a
about to
hard
say.
competition.
The only
Okay,
the
well,
only
I didn't see the
thing I
list,
is beating
so
Lola.
Yeah, he's like top 3 or something. It's like him,
Listen,
Negate.
some people, they don't know how to expand. What did I do yesterday? I had to help this guy. I helped him with Vanheim. He wasn't sure how to use his mages outside of casting air elementals, and he kept on bunching all his EA Van Sacreds up. And I was like, "Hey, if you put 16, you can kill literally hundreds of trash." And then he didn't believe me, and so I had to post a bunch of screenshots showing him, and I showed him some blokes thug setups. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
So you abused his opponents. That's
So-
kind of messed up.
So to go on to the episode where we are going to be resuming. We're going to be resuming on Conjuration 6. And just to reiterate, we are going to be talking about generic summons that are troops. Not mages, not national summons, but generic troop summons. So with that, let's get on to our Conj 6 summons. And
Yeah, let's go down the list. So for those of you who have Dominions open, going down it. So we have Fire Snakes, Great Eagles. Now we're not going to talk about like summons that include commanders and mages like Sea King's Court. You know, we'll make a mention of them, even though they do include troops, but that's not really the purpose of this episode. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about the troops if the troops are notable, But you know, if you buy it for the mages, we'll just say you buy that for the mages.
Yeah. But we will be talking about, as I said, fire snakes, great eagles, hill giant.
Yeah.
We're skipping Troll King's Court and Ether Gate as well as Sea King's Court.
We got
We're going to be
ghosts.
talking about ghosts. We are skipping Forest Troll Tribe, but we are talking about Forest Giants and Lamias.
Yeah.
And that's it for Conjuration 6. So,
All right, hot take. I have tried a lot of times to make Hill Giants work, and they have been dog shit every time.
All right.
Yeah,
So
no.
why do we start from the top, though?
all right.
All right, fire snake.
Fire
just to keep
snakes.
it organized. Yeah, let's talk about fire snakes first. I personally have tried to make these work because on paper I feel like they're kind of value, but in practice they're very hard to make work because they're paper thin in terms of the defense.
All right,
Yeah.
they suck.
They are the go-to where when you ask someone, "What do I use with my fire gems?" They're like, "Oh, fire snakes," and then you summon a bunch of them,
Yeah,
and then they don't do anything.
Right.
And you're like, "Wait a second, I just got punked."
I feel like they're in direct competition with fire elementals, except they're just worse in like every way.
I think there's like use cases for them, but it's like niche. Like in fort fights, if you stuff them in a gate, they do have heat aura, don't they?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
They do have heat aura, yeah.
firepower.
So, like, They're
venomous
better in
fangs,
mods
fire
like
flare.
D, but
It's hard because I think it's kind of easy to get a surplus of fire gems a lot of times, and sometimes you don't have construction 6 to make lanterns. And so, like,
Just make it
you have
lanterns.
all these dozens of fire gems piled up, and you just want something of value out on the field. And then you look at it and be like, oh, I have Con 6. I'll make some fire snakes. And then they don't do anything. But on paper, I feel like they're good on paper. Like, they have a AoE 1 attack.
they're not magic beings,
They're
right?
just
So,
worse
They
women.
They are magic beings, and they are disciplined, and they are
Yeah,
animals.
they're literally
they have-
just
wait,
worse
they're
women.
undisciplined. No, they're disciplined, aren't they?
They are not
they're
disciplined.
undisciplined.
They're undisciplined.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Worse.
But they have MR,
forgot.
so
Yeah,
No,
their MR is not animal MR, so that is a bright side for them. But they have extremely low defense, extremely low protection. I would argue that these are usable if you have high alteration with stuff like that.
I would
This
tend
is-
to agree with that. They are.
They're better when you have buffs. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If,
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
if you if
I
you
don't
put
know.
them in
I feel like they just get outcompeted by fire elementals. So.
No, because like you're not gonna have like there's like niche scenarios where you're gonna have them.
But the main use is the heat aura and the AoE fire attack, right? And both of those are just worse than what the fire elemental brings.
Well, Rav, like the difference is that the fire elemental requires a heavier mage investment on the field, whereas this is something that even if
You could
you're
have beforehand.
dipping into fire,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could summon them in
And you can have
advance.
like one guy in a fort that's under siege make a fear.
yeah, and then you
I-
dump them into an army.
I
or
wouldn't
something.
say like you wouldn't summon them because fire elementals exist. That's kind of like I wouldn't make that argument. Like they have use
Well,
cases. It's just
I would
not
say
as
you wouldn't make them because fire elementals exist so long as you can actually get the fire elementals out and use the gems that way. If you can't use the gems that way, then I would make
Yeah,
these, maybe.
I'll put it like this: if you are looking for a fire gem dump, then you can probably find a use for fire snakes. However, I am rarely looking for a fire gem dump, mostly because I am a lantern stan.
I
But-
think most players will go construction 6 before they hit
Right.
con 6 for most nations, right?
if you're a fire
Most
nation,
nations
you
with
should,
fire.
if you're a fire nation, you should absolutely go for construction 6 before conj at like all. Like if you're busy, your game plan should be lanterns because like the fire summons are not there. Like unless Ilwinter and Dom 6 adds like some better ones, like there is nothing here that's gonna like really carry it. Like maybe someone makes some niche as fuck argument for a battlefield summon below, but really you're not going here for like the ritual summons.
So what about the great eagles then? Since we're all pretty down on fire snakes.
I got this one.
All right.
Great Eagles are fucking fantastic. All right.
I don't
Crazy high
know if
map
they're-
move.
I don't know if I agree with
Crazy
that.
high map move, crazy high seat strength. You just use them to crack forts immediately. They're just really good in that role.
I think they're kind of like an oh shit button if you don't have siege strength, and they're very versatile. But at the same time, like you have to be tricky. They're tricky because so normally you lead the Great Eagles with the Call of the Winds commander if you don't have flying normally. And the problem with using any more than 5 eagles is they'll only have full name attack, which means they're gonna fly in and kill themselves if you're not a flyer nation. So on paper, like they're really great for siege strength, but in reality, like they could be like a liability. Like you bring a bunch to a fort siege and then they break and then they kill themselves and then you just lost like 8 times whatever that many
Well,
air
in that
damage.
scenario, why wouldn't you just, if you're only using them for like siege bonus, why not just keep them on guard commander?
No,
These
that's what
are
I'm saying. It's harder to put them on guard commander if you're flying them in because then you need more flying commanders that can fly them around, right?
No,
And you
You
only can
don't
have
need that
5
many.
guards.
You don't need that many, Sauron. There's
Yeah,
16
you don't
siege
need them.
strength per. It's 80 siege strength per cast.
It's just they're so good for having. It's so good to have such high map move siege strength that like it's just something that's inevitably useful, and they're immune to stuff like flames from the sky because they're HP pool. Like they're just really good
I
at
think they're
the job of
solid.
sieging down forts.
They're a high utility summon. They also have.
No, I like them a lot as well, and I think they come at a good time, right when greater air elementals are starting to get countered a bit easier. So like you finding another way to spend air gems is fine. I think great eagles are fine for that. They're for a specific purpose.
Ooh,
Yeah, they're definitely for the utility and not for the combat power, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you get up to buff stacking, where you're stacking up the high alteration and enchantment buffs, and their heavy HP pool means they'll gain some durability in combat, and that's more of a mitigation of their weaknesses than something you'd like actually use them for. But it does bear mention that if you are sitting on like Army of X mass regen, then they're going to be 20 prot and regenning 6 points per turn. So they're probably not going to die that easy anymore. Last thing I do want to say about them is for all their merits, they are in an awkward spot of you having an Air 3, being an Air 3 nation, and also having enough spare air gems by the time they come out. Which can be sometimes a challenge.
Well, I don't think they're that expensive, though.
Go ahead.
No.
I don't think they're expensive because it is 10 siege strength per gem. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
You just mentioned not having the gems, didn't you?
Yeah. I wasn't saying that because they're particularly expensive. I'm just saying that sometimes you draw down the air elemental revolver too many times, and then you run out of gems.
If you don't have 8 air gems spare, you're probably in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Hill Giant is next.
I've tried to make Hill Giants work a lot because of the grab and swallow, and you think it could be like really niche, like, oh, you delete a thug or something, but it turns out that check is like super not reliable, and really these things only are good as like HP sponges for like astral spells or MR negate stuff where they'll take the hit because they have so much HP, but for their grab and swallow they're really not worth it. I've really messed around in mods like D where you can get the commanders and it just doesn't work
because it only works on size 1 and 2 and it's only 50% chance of being used anyway. I assume
it just doesn't go off with the attack skill and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say the only time I've ever seen them be used to effect is literally in Magic Explodes, where what are they even called? A Galderman werewolf with like 20 afflictions on it couldn't dodge because it has 20 afflictions on it, and so it actually died to it. But aside from killing immortal mages, there's really no other purpose to them.
So I will actually stan the poor Hill Giant a little bit. Like, granted, these are very, very slow to mass, but with a very high HP pool, a very high damage attack, and that secondary grab and swallow attack, for all that it doesn't go off, these guys can do some significant work in the mid and late game if you are looking for like good chassis to buff. You might not be able to make a full army of them, maybe only a little front line, but I have in very silly circumstances when I was bad at the game, I have put body ethereal on these guys and wreaked havoc.
I could see it.
My only issue with that, although they are only at Conj 6, but once you get into the late game, I think there's too many MR negate spells out there that can mess them up.
Oh, that's true.
I think all chap is better when you have buffs anyway. So like, I don't know if the Hill Giant premium is really paying off. Like
Well,
for
he's
the
only
gems
3
he would have.
gems. He's less than a crab.
I don't know. I just feel like when like you're competing with like normally stuff like main ads, which are dog shit, are all of a sudden like the premium chap. It's like, how good are these guys really? When a main ad is certainly better.
Okay, I do think they have a use as an HP sponge. Like if you have Army of Gold and like mass regen or something, you might want a couple of them just to tank. You know, like I don't know, Pillar of Fire or something for a few turns while the rest of your army goes forward. So I think
absolutely,
I would say try them out in a game, maybe. Somebody who's out there listening, if you want to try them, because for 3 gems, you can definitely put a couple in an army without feeling too bad about it.
Yeah.
It's 3 gems for 100 hit points. Draw a lot of the mage spells. It's not terrible.
Yeah, especially versus Astral. They'll fucking get whacked.
Although, on the flip side of that, I don't think that's efficient only because of Soul Slay.
I mean, people have to set up for Soul Slay.
Like, I think it's better against like other evocations.
True.
But yeah, that's true.
Well, what's his MR with anti-magic up?
Yeah, with the base MR of 9.
It's 13. It's not that good.
Oh god, that's terrible.
Truly the premium MR sponge.
So, moving on from the Hill Giant, the next one we have are the Ghosts. And I'm of the opinion that Ghosts are pretty good, although Death Gems will start becoming very competitive at this point. I feel like Ghosts are one of the primo buffable chassis that you can kind of make things happen when you have guys around to give these guys some actual prot. That then they're like they have an ethereal, they have a life drain, natural attack, which is AP, but it's not MRN or anything. So it's just they'll just go for days. They're stealthy. They have fear. They have a aura or whatever. They're definitely a more of a scalpel than a sledgehammer, but I think you can get a lot of good utility out of them at this level.
My problem with Ghosts is that there's just too much other competition around that time for Death Gems to really be pumping out a lot of Ghosts.
Yeah,
there's also easier ways to get like fear mixed into your armies for that purpose. So I personally don't use them very often. I think they're cool though. But yeah, like you said, point buffing them and stuff like that is.
They remind me of the Ghosts from Heroes 2. If only if they were that cool. But I don't like how they cost 14 gems. If they were a little bit cheaper, I think they would be more competitive.
But Sauron, the half scaling. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's the best patch in the game. Please revert, thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, if they were 14 gems, I think you would see these more because then you could they could be like in card games you have power creeping, right? With new sets, they could kind of power creep a shade or something, and maybe that could be like Winter's thing they're going for, but otherwise there are just too many gems, I feel like, and you have so many things you want to be like summoning in death or that you could do. It's super niche. I think like the best play you could probably get out of them is like an at least stealthing force that you're like buffing them with, and that could be super annoying, but otherwise, yeah, not the best.
Well, just as a, if you manage to get, for example, Strength of Giants and Large Marble Warriors on them, just those 3 buffs, then they would be doing a 17 damage AP attack and have 15 armor, and they would be pretty spooky at that point.
You see, outside of having ethereal, there's another summon down here for a different gem type that will give you life drain and whatnot. That
Yes.
isn't death.
Do we want to?
That's true.
Do we want
I
to?
don't
Do we want
know
to
about
skip
that
the
comparison.
forest giant and talk about those? What is it?
Yeah, before we get
Lingers
to
now?
the other one, let's talk about Forest Giant.
All right.
Not sure why these guys exist. Don't like them. They have the same problems as Hill Giant, except they're worse.
This robe is so comfy.
They're worse, but they're cheaper, and honestly, I think nature gems are less competitive than earth gems sometimes.
Yeah.
It very much depends on the point in the game, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think we've mostly discussed these guys.
Yeah, nature gems aren't less competitive. That's why Leogryphs are even a consideration.
Oh,
Pog.
I had to throw that one in there.
I don't think nature gems are less competitive than literally any other type of gem in the game.
That's a hot take.
no, I
No,
see
I don't think it is.
All right, let me put it to you this way: if you're the guy who cast Mother Oak, then Forest Giants might be worth it. If
No.
if someone else cast Mother Oak on you and you're another nature power, then they're probably not going to be worth it.
So
I don't
Rob,
like
are you pro Forest Giant? Are you actually making these guys a lot of time? Or?
No, he doesn't.
No, he's anti. He's far anti.
This guy, the Forest Giant, I don't. I think I've seen it like maybe a handful of times, but this thing is definitely not the best. I think what did someone do? They gave you like a bunch of Forest Giants with I think the troll nature one, Forest Troll tribe. I think, or is it you get that in vanilla? No,
No.
I think in DE they you get a bunch of them along with the Forest Trolls, but otherwise I like next to never see those.
Well, I don't think you would ever make them.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much the consensus. And I think part of the reason for that, transitioning next, is because within the same conj level and within the same mage level to summon, we actually have Lamias, which I think are actually very viable.
So Lamias, I hinted at this before we got here, have a life drain attack and are nature gems. They also have 20% regen, if I remember. So if you can give these guys buffs, they're actually
50%.
50. Oh yeah. My
and
bad.
a second shape, which also has 50% regen.
Yeah, they're respectable. But they are N3 to cast, so it is a little bit awkward unless you have all the break-ins to casually cast N3. So they're like a nice summon, I would argue. At 5 gems, they're way better than the Ghost 14. And I would argue that nature gems are less competitive. Rob would disagree with me.
Yeah, to clarify, Lamias are
100%
5 for 5.
Right.
Base. Whereas Ghosts are 5 for 14 death gems. So they're almost 3 apiece.
Yeah. Imagine paying, like, what is that, 9 extra gems for Ethereal and Stealth?
And Stealthy, and a Cold Aura, and Fear.
I don't think it's worth the 9.
Lamias,
but they don't have regeneration.
I think you have to buff Lamias. Unbuff Lamias will die to everything.
You have to buff them.
There's an event
even in that comparison. Yeah, you have to buff them, but even in that comparison, like you didn't include the fact that Lamias don't have the undead tag and also have crazy regen.
Well, listen, the undead tag would be a really big negative if fucking Dust to Dust actually went off script, but Illwinter has yet to fix that. So until Illwinter fucking fixes Dust to Dust,
you got to remember they will cast Dust to Dust against lower HP pool targets because then the theoretical damage of Decay isn't like 100 hit points.
No, the Decay will still go off script even if they fucking were giving $1 million.
So to just bring up the obvious about Lamias have 5 prot, which is natty prot, and defense skill 9. So it really is. They really are dependent on which buffs you can give them. If you can give them a lot of buffs, they can turn very scarily good. But if you cannot give them many buffs or cannot spare the mages to give them many buffs, especially if you can't give them prot, they need you to give them prot. If you can give them prot. If you have that army of lead 20 prot, that'd be astounding. If you don't, then if you can't give them any prot, then they will just die to anything. So that's
Well. Here's my shameless plug. They're like cubes. You gotta buff them, or else they're dog shit.
okay.
You can say that about a lot of things, though.
I would also say they're one of the cheapest decent magical weapons in the game.
Oh, I know
I
that
don't
there's
know if
also.
you can find anything cheaper, really.
Listen, they have a fringe like niche cases where you can use them with like soul vortex batteries because they have such high regen.
Oh, true.
I've seen people do that shit,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I
about
endorse
that.
that.
You can.
I don't know if I endorse that.
The reason that's not so good is that you can actually route them. Although if you put them to sleep with like an aura or something, that might not be an issue.
Yeah, why not put them to sleep with an aura? I mean,
Because Breath of Winter won't. Because Breath of Winter doesn't go off. I forgot.
You have to have a natural aura.
You'll have to mix.
I wish Winter would
This
fix
is what
that.
shades
You'll
are
have
for.
to mix
You put the
one
shades.
ghost in with your Lamias to
Yeah.
put them to sleep, so you can use them for a turbo communion battery.
Yes, you also have to make sure the mage has cold res on turn 0, or it'll get
Oh my
interrupted by the cold aura.
All right.
So for those of you, let me just explain what we're talking about. For those of you who don't know, Breath of Winter will not be cast if your mage is next to someone who doesn't have cold resist because he's afraid to put him to sleep. When really, Winter should let him fucking fall asleep if you want him to fall asleep. That needs to be changed, but you know, until Winter gets there, it's a really annoying thing you sometimes have to play around. Like, let me put my morons to sleep, let me make the mistakes, but hey, what can you do?
So before we go on to Conj 7, I do want to bring up there are these spells, the troll tribes that have mages and they have armies. And while we're not really discussing the mages, we can talk your ear off about the utility of different mages and Conj. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do that. I do want to bring those up, that they're here, and to evaluate them as troops, I would say none of the troll tribes are worth bringing unless you really want the mage. You're almost never, like, the troops are a nice bonus on the mage, but you're almost never going to be summoning any of the troll tribes for the trolls themselves. You're going to be wanting the mage. Does everyone kind of agree with that?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, you basically only cast the troll. Like, the army is a cool boon. Granted, all the trolls you have to pay for their upkeep because they're, for whatever reason, they deserve a. You deserve to pay them, but not all the other fuckers. But
Yeah.
you do lose some gold unintentionally there. But yeah, you're not normally summoning these or casting
All
these
I'm
spells.
saying is their unions were really strong.
True.
So, the other army in a can spell at Conj 6 is Ethergate. And Ethergate, even when you're summoning it for the mage, it is so pricey that you're usually not going to spend the pearls. However, I do want to bring up the troop, the Ether Warrior that comes with it, because if you are the Nexus caster or the Wish Farmer or whoever's got the Pearl advantage in the late game, you can actually sometimes use this for the troop, because the Ether Warrior is an ogre-sized man with 22 hit points, reasonable armor, magic power, ethereal on his own, and a fucking moonblade.
He's respectable. He
Right.
is respectable. A lot of there's a lot of conversation about Ethergate. Some people like really beat their chest about this, like, and you'll see it like echoed all over the place. And other people are like, "Yeah, but it's 90 gems." I'm kind of in the camp of like, it's 90 gems, and once you're in that late, like whatever. But they are really good troops. You will see them in like late game doom stacks a lot of the time, especially for the mage. But
and
I don't know if I would.
I don't know.
So
It's such an expensive spell. It's more
It's really-
expensive to cast Ethergate than to min cast a spell like Gift of Nature's Bounty.
Like it's one of the best summons you can get. So like if you're in the late game and you have the pearls, you should cast it. But granted, keep in mind, like the later you get into minions, the more uses you have across your gem types. So there's like a bunch of like arguments, and it really depends on your situation.
Interestingly enough, here if you wanna.
All right. So what I'll say for this spell is, if you are, like I said, if you have the Nexus, if you have managed to gain yourself that Pearl advantage, and you don't know how to use them to like get combat power to get a victory. Like if someone told you, hey, you need Arcane Nexus and that's how you win, and you got Arcane Nexus and you haven't won and you're scratching your head, then Ether Warriors are a primo late game troop that when you put all those other buffs on them, they will beat the other primo late game troops. So if you have a ton of pearls and you don't know how to dump them into combat power, you slap Ether Gate and you get the Ether Warriors.
You know how you counter these guys, HP? You bring your hordes of trash and you have them run into them, and you slap all the buffs on them. And even though these guys are some of the best troops you can have, when they're killing trash, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they do only kill one guy a turn, regardless.
It doesn't matter how good they are if they just fall the fuck to sleep because they're killing stupid Foulspawn who have Army of Gold. But my Army of Gold.
Alright, so...
Alright, let's move on to Conj 7, shall we?
Conj 7, yes. We have the Asp Turtle, the first one.
Oh my god.
Rarely seen. But
And for good reason.
Because it's 13 fucking gems.
Well,
Yeah,
it's 13 gems for one Asp Turtle, and all you're getting is an underwater Psi 6 Trampler. With fear, but like, I don't know.
think I've seen this summon once since I started playing Dom 5 in 2018.
Probably for the best.
They should cost it the same as a Hill Giant.
Yeah,
it should be 3 gems.
If they cost it like a Hill Giant, it would actually be decent.
It'd be really good.
It loses a 1 to a water elemental.
I think this is
no buffs.
I think this is a good segue, right? I think it's a good segue, and I think it's worth bringing up. I feel like when you get to high conj, the summons actually need to be more efficient than the ones at lower conj to make them a reward. Right? The same way you get to Army of Gold, it's just better than Marble Warriors. Like once you get Army of Gold, or once you get Marble Warriors, you're never going to be casting Wooden Warriors, right? If you have access to both.
You're absolutely right, but this would make way too much sense for Illowinter stuff.
like why? Like you should. I feel like going to high conjuration as like your first research should be a cool strategy, right? Maybe not the most meta one, but you should be able to be like, oh, dude, this guy went to conj. Look, his army.
Listen, maybe they're fixing it in 6.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean you're not getting rewarded? Conj 7 gives you Animal Horde.
So,
I'm gonna block you.
But before Animal Horde, we have the Cataplebus, which is another high water thing. But this thing has an interesting attack. It's got the Gaze of Death, which is a fucking beam of heinous destruction. Fucking shits out AN damage. Is this MRN?
That shit's hilarious in a fort.
But
yeah, I think this guy has niche uses if you somehow have the water gem bank, but like 15 gems is a lot for one dude.
No, actually, the Catablius is, I think, my favorite singular summon from 7 and up, because all you do is you get one of them, and you stick them in a fort battle.
Dude, the level 9s?
Battle.
Oh, fuck off. There's some.
You stick them in a fort battle, and the enemy can have as many fucking shitter sakers as they want, but you just hold them at the gate while the Catablius gazes of deaths them. It's so fun.
The Gaze of Death only has 10 ammunition, so it is limited. But it is a Deletus beam, and so I can... This guy's essentially like a bigger fucking Drake, right? A bigger Drake with a meaner attack. So if you could find uses for Drakes, you can find uses for him, but as he's about double their price... you need to get more utility out of him.
He's also harder to use. You're more likely to kill your own troops with the poison.
That is true.
Which serpent has Gaze of Death? Is it the Foulspawn one? Yeah,
it's the Foulspawn one.
Basilisk or is it?
Yeah, it's the Foulspawn.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like the Basilisk is cheaper in general. Well, granted, you have to earn it.
There's another one later on that has it as well.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So
I was doing a bit of testing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is, why is he so easy to kill? Like he's got no stats.
Awful.
He's got no prot. Like give him 20
you gotta treat him like an
make
archer.
him a unit, make him hard to kill, and then Suddenly he's worth the price maybe.
See, Rob, you have to give him 20 with your buffs. And he's disciplined, so you can actually buff him and
Listen.
script him.
Listen, hot take. There should be like a monster tag that you apply to all these summons, and there should be some spell later in the game that's like transfer mind in DE, and you can just transfer mind one of these monsters, so you actually can
That would be
do
cool.
some cool scripts.
Yeah, fair.
That's
Yeah,
this is a hot take, but
I'm in agreement. You know what else I think? I feel like Conjuration, like spells usefulness, should not be entirely dependent on having Old 9 and Enchant 9.
well, they shouldn't
fair
cast an
enough.
armor and the like.
No, you don't need enchantment 9. You only need enchantment 8.
So
Yeah, that's all.
My bad.
we have Animal Horde now at Conj 7, which gets you
Can we just skip it?
Woo-wee.
a horde of animals. I have not used this spell, honestly. I have
I have
never
used
cast
it.
this.
I have used
I've
this.
cast it.
multiple times.
It's just as bad as summon animals. Let's keep going.
No, it's
No, hold up.
actually it's better in mods where it's moved down in the tree to level 5.
Don't
But,
fucking say mods.
But even in vanilla, like if you have the nature gems, I think it's worth it to cast it for the bears. Like 40 bears plus some other garbage for 15 gems is
not
not terrible.
Not terrible.
So
I think it's respectable.
40
You
bears give
typically
her how
cast in
much?
Highlands, right?
You get other stuff as well as the bears.
Some wolves and some deer.
No, I don't think you get deer. I think you get blackhawks, and blackhawks are okay.
And you get goats in what terrain type are you most often casting?
It's Highlands. I believe is the one that gives you bears the most. I think it's Highlands. I'm fairly sure. Highlands / mountains.
I wish there was more visibility with this spell. Like it actually told us the.
I just want to
Animal
say
Horde.
it is just like Illwinter to put a ton of different modes and terrain dependencies on a fundamentally situational spell.
I think you get a shitload of horde serpents in swamps too. I think so.
That might be decent. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter. No. It's not decent because they suck. The swamp ones are not good. You get like a spiders and shit. The spiders aren't big enough.
Listen, the bears are good because they're good HP sponges, and you mix them with the Leogryphs.
Listen, if you're a luck player, unironically, this spell might be for you because you get a bunch of goats, and you know what goats do? They give you a stupid dragon horde event, and you can slap them in all your provinces. If you're a luck player, hey,
you got
you
a
can
micro
roll
goats
it.
into all your provinces, like
Just
Oh
you
my
only
God.
goat.
No, you don't just need to micro the goats. You need to micro mages on patrol to steal the dragon when it comes from.
yeah.
Right.
Listen, it's definitely not what you should do, but like, hey, if you're a luck player and that must mean you're crazy because you're a luck player.
So
You can slap a goat in every province.
So that is Conjuration 7. Now we are up to Conjuration 8, which, everyone talks about the elemental royalty, but they suck. And, but let's talk about, we have very few actual summons in Conjuration 8. Is it just the
I think
Eater
it's
of
just
the
Eater of
Dead?
the Dead.
Eater of the Dead. The
Based on our
funniest
own
summon.
arbitrary.
Listen,
Oh,
Conj 8,
we get sprites from Fairy
Conj,
Court.
the real power of Conj is when you get the fucking cancer assassination attack spells. But
That's true. Manifestation is disgusting.
oh, whoever, those are some good spells. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to touch on Fairy's Court because you do get sprites, and sprites
Right,
are.
but-
Oh no, you don't. You don't. Do you?
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
you do get sprites, but let's be honest, nobody is casting this fucking
Have
thing
you
for the
clicked on a
sprites.
sprite? Sprites they have a. If for those who don't know, because this is a niche as fuck thing. Also in the previous stream you could summon. I think it was either 5 or 6. You can summon sprites.
Oh, we
But,
missed it
It's a
at
combat
6.
spell.
It's a common summon.
Okay, alright.
But sprites, for those who don't know, they have 100 damage fatigue attack. That's range, so not the
Armor
best.
negating too.
Yeah, so if it does hit something, like they're going night.
Right.
So
it is
they do have
also-
niche uses.
And this is funny. They have 20 base defense.
Listen,
very hard
they're
to
not
tiny.
bad,
They're
but-
Yeah, they're...
But But you wouldn't summon them normally for Fairy's Court. You cast Fairy's Court for the nature air mage, which we will be losing in Dom 6, that will turn into a glamour mage or something. But for now, it's pretty
Shoot
good.
me now.
We don't know how good glamour is yet, but whatever. That's another topic.
Another podcast.
All right, so
Can we go back?
The only
Yeah, so
comment
Eater
to
the Dead.
Eater the Dead.
I've only
funniest
seen
summon in
memes
the
with
game.
this. I've only seen memes with this guy where people have made it the prophet, and then he has left them, and they have lost their prophet.
Oh, that's so funny.
So it eats so much HP that it deserts. So hold on, let's talk about the mechanics, right?
Oh, jeez.
Right.
Yeah,
The
go for it.
Eater
Go
of
ahead.
the Dead has a mechanic where it can trample and eat things, and when it does that, it gains more max HP. And it also has the Corpse Eater
yeah,
trait, which allows it to eat corpses in a province as well.
Yeah, there we go.
So it gains more and more HP by fighting and eating corpses. And as it does, it basically powers up into slightly stronger versions of itself. And once it reaches the third and final version, it can desert, and it will start
Rampage.
trying to desert. And once it goes AI, which, by the way, if you make it a prophet, it will desert as a prophet, and it will be a neutral prophet, which is just weird. But it'll start randomly walking into nearby provinces, seeking to keep on eating and growing more and more HP.
I've seen this thing.
There's a very famous Dominions meme where somebody fed it and gave it items and made it their prophet, and then it broke free and it just kept eating hordes and hordes of undead and growing more powerful.
I know we're having fun here, but I just want to point out that at needing Death Astral Crosspath and 50 fucking pearls, if I am looking at that right.
That is right.
Basically fucking unsummonable. Like,
yeah, it is. I've seen it survive Soul Slays, but
unless you know that you were about to eat a fully geared golem with it, you're not getting value out of it.
No, you don't normally cast this guy. He is super a luxury and a meme that you can do, but not very viable, I would argue. It's a fun spell, but not a...
It is a hilarious spell. If you got it earlier in the game and cheaper somehow, you might be able to treat it like a Raven of the Underworld or whatever, and like, groom it for
if it didn't desert, yeah.
But yeah, and if it didn't desert, but the fact that it deserts you at the end just makes it a meme.
Imagine spending 50 gems to have some asshole desert you. And he...
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of cool tags, though. He's got, like, he spreads plague. I don't even know that.
Unsurroundable 10.
I mean, if you have already spent the gems and you have written those off as a loss, then you can do all sorts of funny things with him, especially as he'll eat any smaller super combatant. He'll eat
cubes. He's the super cube!
Right.
I have a question. What exactly is the point of unsurroundable 10 if your base defense skill is 6?
Well, it can't go down to 1.
Yeah, and the instructor is telling me it's 4.
6. Like, come on, guys.
It means all the madmen that it's going to be surrounded with could still have to have a 30% chance of missing.
If it had like some cool tag where
I'm sorry. No, it goes up to 6 in the third form. It starts at 4. My bad.
Jesus. All right, so are we ready to move on to Conjuration 9?
Yeah, this is the reward tier.
Oh, just you guys wait. I'm on top of this shit.
The reward tier, allegedly.
There are 4. I think we're going to talk about 4, right?
All right.
I've tested all of these extensively.
Yeah,
we got the Ancient Presence, followed by the Abomination, followed by Legion of Whites, followed by the Torresque. Does anyone want to take a lead on the Ancient Presence?
Yeah,
you guys
you said you were going to lead.
I'll take a lead on the Ancient Presence. So the Ancient Presence, he's 25 fucking gems, so water gems. However, as water gems are going to lose some of their utility later, unless you're just murdering, wintering people all turn, every turn. The Ancient Presence I've actually gotten good utility out of before. He does have a Devour attack, which he doesn't roll dice on it like the Giant does. He just devours, and it's anything smaller than him, and he is size 6. So he will, and he's got attack skill 16, so he can actually, like, reach out and grab shit. So this is a cheaper version of that Eater of the Dead Thug Killer, and it's using a depreciated gem type.
Question on that too. Is it even able to be negated by defense? Looks like it's an AoE attack,
I
right?
think you have to. No, it's not an AoE attack. It's a single attack.
No, it's area effect 1.
Oh,
It says area effect 1.
oh, never mind. Damn. So
Yeah,
his
it's
is even
AoE 1.
better than I thought.
Yeah, it's really hard to dodge that one.
Yeah,
Maybe
don't
I should have done
run an
this.
XE into that shit. Yikes.
Yeah. So he
better be paralyzed or something.
has that. He has a Slimer, but it's mainly just that. And he has 1,000,000 HP and high magic res. So
And 20
Don't let your horror harmonica into him.
right. So when it's late game and people are doing stupid shit with SCs or they have their own big buff troops or whatever, you just let this guy loose on whatever elite they have and he will just munch them. He is the super cube. So
This is my problem with the dumb community. People are like, "Oh, this thing is unkillable," and then we have like niche garbage like this, which could, in theory, like munch it in one turn if it ran into it. Granted, you would have to probably transfer mind or gift a reason this fucker to make him a commander, so he's not, a troop. But
you can use him as a troop, but
why couldn't you just use him as a troop?
it's harder to pull off like niche stuff with troop versions because like you have less utility. It's just like more finicky.
It's a conjuration line, right? There's going to be so much magic phase and flying and stealth that people can pull out by that phase of the game that it's hard sometimes to even line them up properly.
Didn't this guy have
Do what you
stealth?
want them to.
He's the ancient presence, yet he
does not have stealth.
No, he's too fucking
No, he
big.
should have
Look at
stealth.
him.
He's like a walking swamp. Like why?
Yeah,
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, name alone.
Let's
He
bring
should.
in.
Every tile he walks on should just become a swamp, like walking
Fuck
stack.
off.
I would say give him swamp stealth. Bring that in from Conquest of Elysium.
Oh,
Give
get
him
out of
stealth
here.
only on swamp.
Oh, let's put some useless stealth in the game. Surely that
You
will.
should have like I don't know, what is it called, unseen or whatever it is, the really strong one, but only on swamps.
I agree.
You just can't tell he's there because he uses swamp.
Listen,
And-
you're giving
and
Illwinter some
50%
bad
regen.
ideas, and I don't like it.
And 50% regen.
This guy is
It's
another
also-
one that he has base prot 6 and defense skill 7, so even with all his shit, he will get chopped up by mundane morons with swords if you don't buff him. So whatever you do, fucking buff him.
He's got 20%
It'll take
regen.
a while though.
It will
But
take a while.
you've seen how quickly large HP with regen can die to AP weapons, Sora.
Wait, I actually don't know what this tag is because I don't see it. What is incorporate?
Incorporate.
That's the one where you gain extra HP for swallowing things.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool.
So he
You know,
he can grow his HP higher.
I like this
It
one.
takes him a lot longer than
I think I like this one the most out of the big 3 at this tier because it's really not that hard to get him out. I mean, you get a Naiad out, slap some boosters. I mean, 25 gems is not that much of an ask for something that does this kind of thing.
At level 9, like, you should probably have the gem.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like
And
them.
to be clear, he is basically a better version of the Eater of the Dead, but he's half cost, and he doesn't.
He doesn't abandon you.
That's the extra level of
He's not your dad, he
conjuration.
goes to
Level 9. He's a reward.
He's not the dad that went to the store for cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah, he regains 40 HP a turn. Ooh.
So the
Respectable.
next big bad boy is the Abomination.
Okay, guys.
I think
Abomination. I've used this thing extensively. It's baller. Okay, hear me out. All right, hear me out. It's like the Catablast, but it's way more survivable because it has the life drain tentacles. You put quickness on it. You prop up it because you have Alt 9 if you're going to get Conch 9.
Bro,
266 HP. But you know what you do with this thing? You know what the trick is? You gift of reason it, and you give it a flying carpet.
okay.
And then you put it on hold and attack rear. Or attack rear, either works. And what happens is, it flies to the rear of the enemy formation. They can't one-shot it because it has 266 HP, 20 MR. And a Gaze of Death's their mage line.
That is
this sounds goofy as fuck,
that's so
but I'm about it.
convoluted.
It sounds convoluted, right? And it's
I
expensive,
next
right?
to
It's
least an enemy
expensive.
mage
Can't-
core in the
can't
late
you
game.
just-
It's worth it, right?
Can't you just
Like,
try
think
to
about
put
it, think
Gift
about
of
it.
Flight on it, or put it in a mass flight army or something like that?
You
You
could.
could put it in.
But here's the trick: the second you start buffing it, it takes longer. If you put the flying carpet on it, you put a flying carpet, you put MR item, right? And what you do is you set up the square so while it's flying out, you cast Iron Warriors on it and quickness, or you do army wide. It doesn't matter, right? The point is, the real goal here is turn one. You are in the mage line casting. It's using its gaze of death and attacking with its 3 life drain tentacles.
Dude, you're
So
gonna
if you're
bait
doing
the
it right,
people. I
if you
need to
do it
stop
right-
you.
no,
You're
listen,
gonna bait the
listen.
people who unironically like all they do is not all of it, but most of the time there's like a group of players who just talk nonstop about like late game shit with innate casters, and they're like, "Oh, this wouldn't work because my innate caster is going off, and I'm like, ah."
Oh,
No,
It's like
listen,
always
listen.
a conversation
Forget
like,
innate
"Oh, you have
caster.
to witch your."
So this guy, to bring it back down to earth, essentially, this guy is like the
I'm not done.
Cataclysmus's. Okay, what
All
were
right.
you? What else needed to be said, Darkwolf?
What needed to be said was that the trick with this is it survives fights, and then you just rotate it some other part of the map, and that's why it's balling. All right, you can continue with your shitty talk now.
Okay, so
I think it's a respectable summon for what you get.
yeah. Now it is 25 pearls, so I do also put it in the same category as Ether Warriors, where it's like, yes, if you are the guy who's ahead on pearls, then yeah, you can use this and you can get a lot of utility out of it. But if you are having to fight people over globals, then you're not going to be casting this, because you are going to be wanting those pearls to fight people over their globals. Like
That's true.
if Nexus is competitive, or if you need to set up your wish farm, or blah 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 blah.
It's a lot of dispel too. You got to dump gems into dispel.
Right. So
I do
like,
think Darkwolf's tech would catch someone off guard.
I think it would.
It's
too.
definitely
Yeah, of
different. I've never seen anyone use this thing. I've seen it maybe in like 2 or 3 games over 5 or whatever years of me playing. It doesn't come up a lot. It's got a really cool sprite.
Yeah, and it
but,
has like, what is
Void
that?
Sync.
25
I have to clarify,
damage AP life drain attacks, which is like gross.
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
lot.
it's just
That's not entirely my tech. I actually first saw it in a game I subbed into to play Iridia with HP, and I subbed in turn 100 for an Asphodel, and he had it, and I used it, and I was like, this is good, and I made more. And it worked.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's playing an Asphodel to a turn 100 is a memer, so.
so I do want to, like, last thing I want to say about this guy is, like, yeah, we could talk about how he's not worth it in this circumstances or whatever, but like, people will blow shitloads of pearls on stupid golem nonsense. So like,
Yeah.
He kills a golem.
Blow
He
some
kills a
pearls
golem.
on this guy and have some fun with it. Why not?
Oh, yeah, off topic.
Well,
don't
Golem is
get
not
baited.
level 9's, tier.
True.
Off topic, do not get baited ever. If someone starts talking about the horror harmonica fire empowered golem, don't bother talking about it because it's the dumbest conversation you'll read.
All right. So we do have oh wait, no. Ghost Riders.
Let's talk about
are
the Terras first
yeah.
before we get to Legion of Whites.
Yes, the Tarask. So
It
These
doesn't
things
have
were-
utility, and that's the issue.
the
These
Tarask.
things were a menace in mechs. I remember that.
Yeah, when you make them free, they're good.
So
They're-
Hot take.
the Tarask is what you might call hot garbage. It is by far the weakest of the big monsters. It does nothing most of the time.
Well, okay,
That's
so it
not
can
true.
output
Okay.
poison,
All right.
but
It's a shaft clear.
Listen, in mods where you can gift a reason animals, it's very nice. But when you don't have that utility and cool customization, he's not as cool. But he does have like a shitload of HP, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he has like.
yeah, he's got about
250.
21 less than the Abomination.
Oh yeah, almost. Oh, nothing to sneeze at. He's got more than
and
nature
he's,
presence.
and he's got 10% regen, but
Yeah.
The big issue with this guy is his big claim to fame is like his big weapon. Instead of Devour or like the Death Beam, his big weapon is just Dragon Gas, which is a poison damage. And so if you are poison resistant, which late game armies in this game tend to be, you will just kind of laugh this guy off, and he will just be a giant sack of HP and have one melee attack, and he's 25
No,
fucking
no,
nature
he does have
gems.
3. He has 3 melee attacks.
Okay, yeah. I mean, sorry, one AoE melee attack and 2 other attacks.
But
Yeah.
like he gets better in the next game where poison will start nuking your attack and DS. But currently, I don't see them a lot. If you can get a few of them somehow, they are spooky because they have so much HP. But that's like the same for all of these guys.
I don't know.
I don't know how spooky.
Yeah, I
they
think
are.
it's definitely the weakest.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of utility.
If they get surrounded by somebody and you have, because I mean it's Conj 9, somebody has weapons of sharpness and they surround him, he's gonna die. It just doesn't matter.
I mean, all of them are gonna die with
Everything on the
Yeah,
field doesn't
but-
have PR, so it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
too
he doesn't
easy.
have. I don't think he offers enough utility to be worthwhile.
No,
All right, you know the real reason why you don't summon these? It's because you got to use the nature gems for Animal Horde and Leo.
So I do want
Thanks, Charlie.
to say something about this guy is that ironically, just looking at the way he's constructed in this Dragon Gas attack, if you made Dragon Gas half strength instead of 1/3 of the strength on this chassis specifically, then he would get much better because you would actually need real amounts of PR and not just the enchantment levels of PR that everyone slaps on their armies as a matter of course at this stage in the game. In order to stop his Dragon Gas.
Like, I definitely have seen the Tarrasque more than all the other summons, which is kind of weird to say. So I definitely feel like there's like a use case. It's just like
I have never seen
he's not as good. I feel.
he's terrible.
I mean, if you have the nature gems and you're at 9, I don't think it's that bad to summon them. But maybe I'll get flamed for that.
Wait, the third strength is only on the range scaling. Is that what you're
It's
doing?
the damage.
It is half strength
scale.
scaling on the damage.
Oh, okay, all right. So that means he's a little better
So
than I
it does
thought
like
he was.
13. Yeah, it does 13 damage.
I don't remember him being as bad as you guys are making him out to be. Like I thought they were
still
quite
bad.
annoying.
I don't think he's bad. I just think he's weaker than.
Bro,
the
he's a level 9 summon. Like if they weren't 25 gems and they were like 15 or something, like that might be
that's a big if,
fucking.
though.
Most of the summons, like the problem is either like the cost, like if you could get a few of these,
Just make it scale with Dragon Mastery.
Oh, that would be disgusting.
Because then, if you actually invest into it, because you're at
that'd
like
be
level
nasty.
9, you could actually get like 3 per cast, right?
Hot take, they
What are
should
you looking for? That
monster
would
summon
be-
Drakes.
All right, so on. The real question is: would you rather take 1 Tarrasque or 100 animals and 10 Leogryphs? Roughly the same cost.
Probably. It depends on what's going on in the game. Probably most
Oh,
situations.
give me the 100 animals. Oh, bury them.
Listen, if I
Hey,
need
if 30 of those are
for my
bears,
Army of Gold,
I'm down for that.
Listen, chaff is high value when you have buffs.
Yeah, Army of Gold is a thing.
All right, so
Oh, sure.
Speaking of,
Legion of Whites.
last one, Legion of White.
Yeah, probably the one people actually cast the most.
Yeah, I like this one a lot, actually.
The scaling on this is nutty, by the way. +3 per level. Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, good scaling and not horseshit.
You do need to be
Yeah, it
death.
didn't get half scaling
but
treatment.
there's not a ton of death 7, 8, 9, and 10. to
Listen,
cast that.
Illwinter was asleep at the wheel when they finally got down to Legions of White, and they forgot to put half scaling on it. So thank God.
No, it's meant
Fall
to be.
asleep on the wheel.
Don't threaten them with a fucking good time.
Oh yeah, let me just shit up some more summons.
Look, it's meant to be a capstone, and even though this is eminently castable, it gives you a
love you,
shitload of elite troops essentially at a fairly good rate. I think it's still kind of disappointing as a capstone because it's not like a the slap your grandma, blow you away sort of things like Army of Gold or whatever it is. It's just like
It's just straight up solid.
efficient. Yeah.
Not really like fancy or sexy or anything like that. It's kind of boring, but it's solid.
It's no flames
Right.
from the sky.
Yeah.
It's more like pillar of fire.
Yep. It's just if you're there and you have the death to cast it, then it's an efficient way of
Definitely
getting
competes with the immortal fucking chest beaters, but
I will always chest beat on immortals.
Well, you see, you can always go in the blood to get your death magic immortals, and then you can use your death gems for Legion of Whites. Easy.
So the one, if no one else has anything else to say about Legions of Whites, the one thing I do want to discuss here is Tartarians, and I know Tartarians have been discussed and over discussed in their commander form. That's why you're usually casting this spell. But I do want to talk about the
worst trade in the game.
troop form of Tartarians.
You've done that before.
Because they pop out as troops, but they're highly likely to be afflicted. And if you are in the business of summoning them for commanders, but you're gated on one of those, either making them a commander or you're gated on healing their mental afflictions or whatever, then you may end up with a bunch of fucking Tartarian chassis sitting around your forts, and you may get the bright idea of, well, wait a minute, I've got this big sack of zombified HP here, why can't I use it as a fucking troop? So I do want to talk about that briefly.
You could do that, but that would be like it would be like putting your money next to a fireplace and hoping it doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
No, I think it's fine.
Tartarians,
You could use them as troops, sure, but it depends.
I like the Monstra.
Oh yeah, the Monstra.
Monstra or the Monstrum?
There's two of them, Dark Wolf.
I think the
The
Monstra
Manticore
is
or
the
the
worst,
Naga?
and the Monstrum is very good.
The Monstra. The Stra, not the Strum.
The Naga? What
The
about
Yeah,
flying
it's
shiver.
terrible. It only has 2 fists, right?
What do you mean?
No, not
You're
that.
getting
I'm,
them
I'm
mixed up.
thinking of the. I'm thinking of
The
the
Manticore
winged one.
looking one?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Monstrum. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to find.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's
that's
my
a
bad.
300 HP Manticore. So
I mean, it's basically
death
you pay
poison.
twice as much as a Manticore to get something better than twice as good as a Manticore, right?
And they also it also has. Here's the key thing: its path access is the worst.
Right.
So you're less likely to.
I mean, yeah, as a unit, I wouldn't mind using this one. Calling their path access the worst when they're the fucking passive tarts are crazy is kind of funny to me, but yeah, I mean, other than like the Cyclops, you don't really want to use the other one as troops.
I prefer the Spear Titan because that one has the best stats.
Does it?
Oh yeah, it's great stats.
Yeah, it does.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it does.
It's randomly gotten enchanted.
So if you need a Fear Anchor, like that one is probably.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna.
That's a good point.
You're not gonna summon these to. Come on, you're gonna.
No, you're not. You never summon them to use as troops, but I do want to point out that I've done it before. That if you are doing Tart Factory shit and you have a bunch of spare tarts laying around,
are you telling people to use their tools and not gate themselves because of the greed that is in front of them?
I might be.
Dominion players not being greedy? That's impossible. But yeah, I could see it. There's definitely some niche cases you should pull these guys out if you can't, commander them right away and you're just accumulating them. Like, I think the two we mentioned aren't bad. The snake is the Naga is a terrible troop, I would argue.
Yeah, it's an awful one.
The guy with the sickle is 12/12, but I wouldn't really use him as a troop because he has 7 paths. Oh, he has 7.
Oh, that's
7 paths?
There's the one Cyclops can throw lightning at people, which is very funny.
He actually has 10 ammo too.
Yeah, he's got 10 lightning bolts, so he's essentially an air mage if he's not a mage.
Also, his fist is magic,
Tengu?
and it does shock.
Yeah, all these guys have magic weapons. I think Tartarian chains. Yeah, no, they're still magic weapons.
I don't think the Naga has magic weapons. I think
Oh, you're right.
the Naga's a shitter.
Yeah,
Just
don't
punches stuff ineffectually.
don't use the Naga as a troop. Just not that one.
Yeah, but as a mage, they're respectable. Yeah, I mean, if you're really big into storm demons, I think the lightning guy is not terrible for a troop.
He does. It is basically a lightning bolt being thrown at people. It's 26 damage. Right.
He's got high as fuck strength. You give him strength of giants, he's at 30.
All right, so that about wraps it up for our generic summons, at least in the Conjuration school. We may return later to talk about the other generic summons in the other school, but for now, that's pretty much it. So join us next time for the next episode of the All Stats No Rest podcast.